right, so this stream is basically just me sitting here waiting for some questions from you guys. And I say guys because my audience is like 99.9% dudes. As you can see, currently all courses 50% off. Use code BLACKWEEK, link to every course below. Hey William, and it's gonna show you what that looks like. Hopefully you can see this. So if you go to that link, you have all the courses here. Everything here is included except this one, which is one-to-one lessons, and that's, you know, not 50% off because that one-to-one takes a lot of time. But everything else, even the bundles, are included here. So you have a ton of stuff you can check out. So go there right now or after the stream. Black Week is not going to last forever, of course, and there's also a limit to each of these, so it's 50 per course, and let's see, where's that one? Sorry. This one is down to, I think it's like 22 left for this one. So if this one is interesting, you might want to check that one out first. And also, if you get this one is actually included in it right now. So that's be a good thing to know, right? That's part of a bonus in this particular one. So as far as 3 notes per string goes, if you go through this course and the bonus course, you have stuff to work on for a long time. So go check that out. Where are you from, William? I have a question about right hand position to play accurately. Does anchor and pinky matter? No, I've gone through. Thing is, right, some people online say that, like, oh, you have to do it my magical way because otherwise, you know, your hands will implode and you will never be able to play fast and yada yada yada. I don't believe that at all because, hey Kyle, it's the sweep picking thing is inside the practice room, the community. So that's not available on Teachable. I'm probably gonna move off Teachable at some point because they're kind of shady business-wise. They went from nowhere. They're like, oh, by the way, we're gonna increase your price now by 100%. It's like, what? Okay, great. So yeah. So I think you're better off getting that on School anyway. And don't worry if you bought something on Teachable, and if it's the case I'm moving off Teachable, everyone will get access to it in School or whatever new platform. So it's not like the course is going to disappear. I'm just going to move platform, most likely, but not in the foreseeable future. So anyway, back to your question, William. So I don't really believe there's a perfect way to place your right hand or your picking hand. And in 100 years or whatever, maybe there will be a perfect way to do it because then the instrument has been around long enough. So if you look at violin, there's certain ways that they've seen throughout the years that work the best, and that's what they do, right? But we don't really have that on guitar yet. And I think all the ways of doing it will have certain benefits and certain drawbacks. But my point is that if you look at someone like Steve Morse, who used to do this, hold it with 3 fingers and pinky like that, and like do a lot of arm motion, he sounded great. He could do a lot of crazy stuff, right? And then you had Vinnie Moore, who used to do like a lot of arm like this, but he sounded amazing when he was at the top of his game. It's sort of clinic from GIT from '87 with him, and it's like fucking hell, amazing player. Uh, uh, the thing is with the sweep picking deep dive though, Kyle, is that that's gonna get added to, so you get that included. So that whatever is in there now is the first deep dive, right? But then as I get back to that in a month or two, because every month is a new deep dive, and I keep going through the rounds, right? So if you buy it now for 50, you're gonna keep getting things, you know, continuously. So that's a good thing about it. But I do think like if I were you, I would just sign up for premium, which is $29 a month, and then you get everything inside the classroom on a subscription. But you know, anyway, back to your question again, William. Basically, if you look at all the great pickers, they all do it slightly differently. So I don't really buy this whole thing of like you need to do it this way or it's not gonna work. So certain things are gonna be easier with a certain hand position, and not. Steve Morse even talked about that. He said like, well, if he would have done it, you know, do this, he could play faster, but he wouldn't be able to do all this arpeggio stuff. So I think it's all like, you know, it's a trade-off. So, okay, thank you. I like to put my pinky to have control, not anchored, but I feel with it. Yeah. No, sorry for the confusion here, but so I have two practice rooms, right? So practice room pro, that's when you get your own thread and you get all my courses, you get all the teachable and all that stuff, because we use that in the teaching, right? And then I send a video. You know, I'm basically coaching you the whole time. It's like one-to-one lessons, except we do it sort of video exchange in your thread, but there's no cap on like that. You only can ask 5 questions per week, and like that, you can ask questions whenever you want. And I write your practice schedule, and we do all that stuff. But that's pro, right? So that's a separate thing. But school introduced tiers a few weeks ago, so now you have the premium tier in the free community. So you have the free community, and then you have the premium tier, and in the premium tier you get all the deep dives and all the courses inside the classroom. So if you click on the course, right, and then you will see, it will pop up, and it will click on a course that has a lock on it. Then should give you the option to either buy it outright or go up to premium. And if it doesn't do that, please let me know, because then something has gone wrong behind the scenes. So I think that's absolutely the best value. So. And it's also going to be private live streams eventually, but I need more people to sign up for the premium first. Anyway, sorry, we're getting sidetracked here, William. But I anchor the pinky as well, because I can't free float, because then I can't mute the strings. But I also don't like just having my hand on the strings like that. So I kind of have my pinky like this as well. And you know, Petrucci anchors like this, and Yngwie uses a bit of an anchor as well, and Gambale, he uses a pinky as well like this, but I kind of do it more like Gambale now, because he's awesome. No, but it really works for me, and also I like to pick a bit closer to here than here, because I like the sound better. Some people don't like that, so, but I do. Also, I mean, if you want to mute, you need to be down here, right? But that's no big deal if you want to fix that. So I don't like getting stuck back here, and because if you only do this, it's going to be hard to play the notes open. So it needs to be tailored to what you think is important, right? And I do think, awesome. Can you tell me what it says when you do that? Does it give you the option to just buy it or sign up for it? Sign up for premium or just buy the course outright? Anyway, So, but my suggestion for all of this stuff basically is to get your eyes out of it, right? So just close your eyes and then try to listen and try to feel what feels the most, what sounds the best and what feels the best, right? So then whatever it looks like, who cares, right? You need to be happy with the sound first. And because I see a lot of people kind of play with their eyes or try to like, yeah, I need to do this because otherwise, people will tell me that I'm stupid on Instagram. Like it's about listening after all, right? So I don't really care what it looks like. I mean, look at Marty Friedman. I mean, I don't think he's the best picker ever, but his stuff works for him. I wouldn't recommend anyone to do this because for me it feels like shit. You should, you might hurt yourself, but it's like, yeah. Yeah, I do personally because another drawback for me if I do this is like you can see the angle of the pick gets steeper and steeper, and that's gonna affect the sound. So I want to maintain like a, it's not between 30 to 45 degrees. So I don't pick flat like this. It's more angled. But again, that's all about the sound. So I tend to move the arm like this when I play. So. I think it's a weird hand. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know why, but if you remember the movie Total Recall, the Arnold original. So let's see, I saw a video, Rick Beato clip of even talking about playing 14, 11, 12, 14. You mean, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a tricky. I think it's easy to get like. Well, everyone likes different stuff. Some people can't stand neoclassical, some people can't stand blues, some people love, bluegrass. Who cares? No one's gonna force you to listen to something you don't like. All right, but that's perfect then. So you can buy it, right? If you want. Yeah, I get that free wheel burning, but the thing is though, you can listen to another artist, right? I'd rather listen to someone that's really, really fucking good at one style, like really dives deep into that, and then I can go listen to some other guy or girl that can play their asses off in another style, Otherwise you get this jack of all trades, master of none type of stuff, right? Because if you want to be really good at jazz, for example, you need to live that shit, right? And I think it's the same for any style, so. It's an interesting analogy. That's good. actually, once you get used to smooth jazz, you don't have to live it. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Yes, pro tip: go buy my course. No, seriously though, that's you have everything in that course. What I recommend in terms of developing your picking. But in a nutshell, why 3 notes per string is so good or useful for guitar is because it's consistent, right? So once you learn, for example, ascending sixes, descending sixes, and you know the scales, you can take that and start improvising with the, so what I did here. And obviously I've played some variations on this at some point, but none of this was like, oh, here's a fast picking lick 32B, right? It's more about a thinking about how I think about it, basically. Like, if you know the scales in whatever key you're in, and then you have your any sequence down, you can start moving it around. You can go up the string like this, right? And you can go up like that, or you can restart on each string. You can go every other position. It's up to you what you want to do, but that hinges on the fact that you need to be able to play these groups of 6, right? And again, this is just one ascending group of 6. So when you start combining that with other patterns like classic Paul Gilbert, I mean, that's what Paul Gilbert does a lot, or used to do it. Well, used to do before he started doing the slide stuff. But that thing, it's just a combination of the Gilbert / Dimiola / Michelangelo Bedio exercise and ascending 6. So it's, if you have that, then you also have the ascending and descending 6s. But to be able to do that, then you need to know the scales, and then you need to know, have this down. So, but that's doable for anyone. But that's what I mean when I say I want to be able to improvise faster stuff, because they actually, for some book I have where they measured like the fastest tempo you can actually improvise your single notes, and it's quite slow. I think it was like less than 4 notes per beat, so 16th notes at 100 BPMs. Because if I do like, I'm still thinking like, I'm not thinking, no. You start thinking, even doing like, that's still like one thought, another thought. So you slow it down in your brain that way. It's kind of like if I go note. Aside from sounding like a lunatic when I do that, it's very hard to play that fast. You need to go note, right? So you can go note. So that's sort of the thinking behind it. So you're thinking in words instead of single letters. But then you need to learn the words without slurring them, right? So, and that's where all the practice comes in. Yeah, well, actually, they've seen that why you can't do much faster than whatever I said, 16th notes are less than 100 BPMs, is if you ever seen like the 100-meter sprints in the Olympics, and sometimes you see someone, the gun goes off and they start running, but then they get stopped, and it's like a false start, right? And it's like, but the gun was ahead of this person starting, but they have a rule which is like, if you get off the starting block faster than, I think it's like 100 milliseconds, you're gonna be, they know that you've actually just took a chance to do it, because it takes that long for your brain to register the pistol and then getting off the block. So it's kind of interesting that they even have to put that into like a rule in the, in the Olympics. So you think warm-up is important for a concert, and if so, do you have a favorite warm-up exercise like Jason Richardson? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't play live at all anymore, but when I used to do that a lot, I definitely wanted to warm up. But you can also do too much. I found that if I did like too much, I would be, a bit, not bored, but I would be a bit like, the playing wouldn't be as good. So 30 minutes is probably a good number. And I mean, Jason, obviously he needs to warm up, because fucking every song he has is like tendonitis central. I mean, he even has a song called Tendonitis, so yeah, for sure. But also I for me, it was always better to like, I wouldn't have any specific warm-up exercises necessarily. I would just playing notes. That's, super synchronized. And maybe do the same thing with legato. And it's, I found that's the best, because then I wouldn't lose if I just did like which is fine. I think it's a good exercise, but it could almost get you out of the playing mindset in a way, if that makes sense, because it's kind of brain dead. It's really good for your picking technique, so I'm not cheating on that exercise at all. But I thought, because when I would play, even if it was covers or whatever, I would always improvise a solo, unless it was something iconic, but well, that depends on what you see it as. Yeah, I always warm up with Mixolydian, nothing else. I mean, that's another thing regarding 3-note per string scales, right? Where you freewheel burning heard this as Mixolydian when I started playing, like whatever. But that depends on what note you hear as the root note, right? So I can play this thing. And then if you hear this as the root note, everything's gonna sound like Mixolydian because it is. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. But if we instead go, just getting B into your head. Now everything will sound like B Aeolian. Even though I'm playing the same shape. Hey James, nice to see you, man. I played live last night for the first time in 4 years. Oh wow, and my warm-up time didn't help at all. But it was a fun time to talk about the numerous. Yeah, you know. Actually, I don't. It's my choice why I don't play live. To be honest, I never got that sort of like, woo, look at me on stage type of thing. And it wasn't about nerves either. Because I played in cover bands, I played in an original instrumental band, I played in an original like progressive metal band, and it was just a lot of fucking logging amps and shit all over the place. And then with the cover bands, you would have drunk people spilling beer on your stuff, and yeah, it wasn't always the best. But I think people I played with, some of them were like, yeah, it's awesome. So, it's the best feeling ever to be on stage. And I was more like, okay. And also another thing, I'm quite hard on myself. So I would be like James here, if I made mistakes and stuff like that, which I mean always happens, then I would feel that was, wasn't fun. So no, I don't miss playing live, actually. But I do. I mean, if you have never played live before, I think you can learn so much from doing that. So I'm not. I know I'm the special delicate flower in this regard, right? But I'm not that interested. Also, I wonder what it's like now with all the in-ear stuff. I've heard that sometimes it can be a bit weird because you have like the sound isn't the best for you, but it sounds different for the audience. What kind of be kind of a different experience. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I basically forced our drummer when I had a progressive metal band to play with a click, because he would do very progressive drum. He was a great drummer, but he would do some very progressive drum fills sometimes where he wouldn't land correctly, so it would feel like the rug was pulled from under you, and the music was complicated enough without that stuff. So he begrudgingly played to a click after a while. And that was also helpful because when you have songs where like, oh shit, I have a 16-note triplet fill here, or like a run, and if you would Mike Portnoy it, like I've seen Mike Portnoy do, like counting in the Glass Prison 15 BPMs faster than the original, not a good time, so. Well, for me, it was more like, or for us in the band, it was actually just helpful to calm him down a bit, because then he had to focus a bit more on it, and you know, he actually got a lot better from doing that as well. He didn't like it at first, but you know. All right, yeah, well, I move my whole arm when I do that, so because I want to keep the angle consistent. If I keep it like this, the angle is gonna change where I'm with less steeper angle here and less steep here. So I want to make sure I maintain the same angle of the pick. So. more questions? Yeah, have you... One of the most important things to get the hybrid picking to work is to make sure you never hit the string from the air. So a great exercise to do that, and this is what I did initially, but also what I do with all students that get into this, is to you play the D and G string, for example. So you plant the pick. So you never want to do this, right? I mean, when you play it really fast, you're gonna... That's gonna sort of happen anyway, because you spend very little time actually being planted on the string. But you teach your finger the correct route to get there, so you don't go just like start flicking the string, right? So this exercise is good because you can hear if you do it correctly or not, because if you hear this, it's not correct. You won't no overlap because you're planting the pick. So as soon as I play the pick, I plant with whatever finger I'm using. So the M finger in this case. So and you should do this very slowly, but with fast transition. So you want to make sure you relax when you do it. And try to get the same sound. You don't want to hear a big difference in, like, you don't want to do that. Really slap the strings, because that's you know, not well. I mean, it's up to you, I guess. But in terms of getting a more fluid sound, I think it's good to be able to control the dynamics of it. Let's see. No, same here, James. But I tend to use it more for legato stuff when you want to go back, because otherwise it can be hard to get the dynamics right again to keep the legato sound. If you don't use hybrid picking, or for me at least, and it makes it more like a higher probability I won't fuck it up. So you can use it with picking as well. Wrist relaxing exercise? No, I don't, and I've never had problems with my hands. Knock on all the wood, even though I've been practicing up to 12 hours a day at certain times in my life. But I think two things have kept me out of trouble. Is I make sure that whatever my hands are doing, if I relax and just let them hang, that's the angle I try to keep. So I really, don't do this, because this is like carpal tunnel territory right away. And you can get away with that for a while until you don't, and that's a big problem. So, and also I don't push through any type of pain or anything like that. Plus, most of my practice, so when I sit here now and I fuck around and play fast and whatever, so people might think that, when I'm practicing, I'm doing that. I'm not. I'm like more... because I want to focus on the accuracy anyway. So no, I don't need any wrist relaxing exercise. So, how many hours do you practice every day? I don't really have a number. per se, but it's been, yeah. But as far as I think it would be a good number, would be probably be like 4 hours a day would be great. But I teach a lot, and I work out, and I have wife and family, and so I try to get in as much as possible. But I do this for a living though, so it's but I wouldn't necessarily look at the hours you do. Like, try to, whenever you have your guitar in your hand, have an intention with what you want to do. Whether that's like, if you really want to up your picking technique, and if you get my course, Alternate Picking Mastery, then you would have to do, well, if you follow it, that would be 90 to 100 minutes per day. But then when you've done that, you can, just go do something else for fun. And that will really build your technique quickly. But it will still take time to really level up. So I wouldn't, you've probably seen all these like, improve your pick, go from 80 BPMs to 200 BPMs in 30 days. That's bullshit, because that's not real. That even the person who made those courses didn't do that. So that's just sales tactics, and I think it's shit for the guitar community in general, because it gives people the wrong idea about how long it takes to do something or develop something. So when they then do try it and they don't get the results they were promised, they're gonna be like, oh, must be something wrong with me, right? So I wouldn't count hours necessarily. I would instead try to just, whenever you pick up the guitar, for however long that is, if you have a schedule, yes, then that's gonna take whatever it's gonna take. But then just have fun as well. And I think if you can get more done in 30 minutes of like being really focused and actually like, I use a timer times. So I would put on a timer for 5 minutes. And not necessarily practicing this, but if you have 30 minutes to practice, right, and you want to really improve a specific technique, or you're working on a lick or whatever, a timer is really good, because then you can put, and I like 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is enough to get enough good reps in, but it's not long enough to like make you feel like shit, I'm gonna be sitting here all day. So you kind of have to trick yourself there. So you're like, okay, for the next 5 minutes, the only thing I can do, the most effective thing I can do for the next 5 minutes is work on whatever you're trying to get better at. But if you don't use a timer, we tend to, we start working on something like, yeah, okay, that's good, and like, oh, look, a squirrel. You start doing a bunch of other shit in between. So having a timer, like, okay, during these 5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever you need to do, you can be more deliberate about what you're doing, and then you can get all the good reps in. And that's how, if you string those together, if you string 6 of those together, for example, you have a very effective 30 minutes. If you didn't do that and you just sat down for 30 minutes and did whatever, you probably wouldn't have as much success. So I think that kind of stuff, it's not only how much time you have, but how you use the time. So, and this is not only about technique either. If you want to work on improvisation, for example, maybe like, okay, I'm really good in this this pentatonic position, but this one, I know how to play it, but it kind of feels weird, and I don't like improvising it. But then you use a timer, like, okay, 5 minutes, you can only be in this position. Then you're gonna find like, oh, that one is nice. And when you do that, and then you maybe do another 5 minutes, or maybe you go to another position, or maybe you just go to like, oh, I'm just gonna do these 3 strings, and then you find out what you can do there. And then when you actually go to improvise for real later, then you're gonna be like, you're not gonna feel so awkward when you move up to the next position. So you learn how to utilize the whole fretboard instead. I have not played a music band, or have I? I'm not sure. I might have tried. I wonder if Ola has one, and I've tried it when being over at his place, but it doesn't stick out in my mind. So let's see, just need to tune here. Oh my god, that was really low. Another question: how is there any amount of monthly Spotify listeners do I need to have before considering taking guitar? No, I think that's a very well. It depends on what you want to do, I guess. But do you want to make a living doing music, or do you want to make a living teaching, or do you want to make a living, combining that, or what? What do you think? Because having I've never heard anyone frame it like that. How many Spotify listens do I need to do this, right? So I think I wouldn't be able to answer that, because that's not really how I think about things. Anyway. And I think you're better off growing your social media, Instagram, I hate TikTok, I think it's shit, but if you grow Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that's probably a good idea. Because it's like that's gonna have more of an impact, I think, than how many Spotify listeners you have. But that's just my opinion. Actually checking now. I mean, if you look at Burns, for example, he has 146,000 listeners, but I mean, he has a huge YouTube channel as well. If I look at, let's see, Jason Richardson. Jason Richardson has 49,000. Rick Graham, if he's even on Spotify. Oh, he is. Okay. Yeah, Rick Graham has 1,500 listeners. But I mean, so it's a bit of a weird metric, I think. Because I mean, if you're trying to like make a living only doing, Spotify and streaming stuff like that, that's gonna be a really hard road unless you have very, very few expenses. I don't remember. I saw a clip of like how many streams you needed to make like a minimum wage type thing, and I think it was like there was some famous artist, a female like singer-songwriter. You would know the name if you heard it, but I don't remember it now. But basically, that's her streaming level would make her like a minimum wage salary if you went by Spotify standards, and that's crazy. So yeah, it's weird. Change the sound here. Let's see. Ooh. Well, that's the thing why why I like Solar so much, because it stacks up really well with you know, the Paul Reed Smith and the Fender. So. So, you know, when you pick up a guitar that's, you know, a bit crap, you can feel it, like, this feels a bit off. And I don't feel that difference when I go to my Solars compared to my Paul Reed Smith or whatever. And obviously, these are, I wouldn't say budget instruments, but I think this one is around 1,200 euros, which is, you know, I don't even know what that would be, if that's mid-priced even, but it's insane value for the money, in my opinion. And also, I wouldn't, if I didn't like these guitars, right, I wouldn't play them, because what's the point of, like, oh yeah, but you get free guitars, so you might play them anyway. Why would I want to play a guitar I don't like? You know, I'd rather buy my fucking own guitars, right? Same thing like with picks. So I'm sponsored by Mathis Guitars. He sends me picks. He has a Las Vegas-based company. Great guy, and he just sends me picks every few months, right? But you know, there's no money changing hands here. But if I didn't like his picks, I would just buy my own picks, right? So that's a thing I think people don't think about. Well, that's hard to say. Oh my God, your username, man. Because my all the music I have up on platforms, that's like my music I made for Epidemic Sounds, like that's orchestral stuff. And yeah, no, I wouldn't. It's not a lot of money. But I'm not gonna go into details, obviously. No, I can't say that, because I've literally owned one Ibanez in my life and I didn't like it, so. Let's see. I think, because I started in '92, James. So I think the first video, and this was just pure luck, the first video I saw was it's another guitarist in my hometown who lent me like a bootleg VHS cassette of Vinnie Moore's first video. And I was so lucky because at the end of that one, he shows his, picking routine, and I was like, "What? You're allowed to practice?" Because the in guitar mags back then, you had like how to play like Thurston Moore with one finger, like a drumstick. There wasn't a lot about technique then, because I started at a very weird time. I always tell my students it's like being able to play well back then was like, in the early 90s was about as popular as herpes. So and so I got the Vinnie Moore one. That was super great for me. But also I ordered those were fucking expensive, man. They were like $60 back then. Like insane. If you consider $60 in the early 90s, that was a lot of money. But so I got that first, but then I borrowed some other ones. Hey Tom, then I borrowed some other ones, some Starlix ones, and I remember seeing like Wolf Marshall's Yngwie style, and that was like, oh my god, this sucks. So there was a few that was like, oh, this is not good at all. But then I got recommended the first Paul Gilbert one, Intense Rock, and that completely blew my mind, of course. So those two were really influential. I must have watched them like a gazillion times. James, did you ever get that REH and DCI had this like a trailer tape you could get? It was like a VHS, and it was like 40 minutes long or something, and it showed like a minute or two from every video they had, and that was amazing as well. And then I saw like Joe Tafoya, and I saw Key Marcello, all these guys and their videos that I didn't have, but it was just cool to see like all these clips. It was almost like going to their Instagram in a way. No, I haven't played any Ibanez. I owned one. I don't remember. There's such weird names. So, but that was great. I mean, that's how I don't think people understand how hard it was to get your hands on stuff to learn from back then. Now it's the opposite, right? And that's the whole point why I have my Practice Room Pro now, where I write a practice schedule for people, because we can get rid of that overwhelm, because there's so much shit that it's so easy to become like super ADHD and just jump around and never get anywhere. It's like strength training, right? You can find all the information on YouTube and all that stuff, but if you're not experienced, you don't know how to put it together in a way that's going to work for you. So I think the same thing now with information. It's like information overload, so you kind of need someone to guide you through it. Anyways, but back then it was like all that stuff, right? But then I bought books, Speed Mechanics by Troy Stetton. That was amazing. That book is still holds up. So amazing. And actually, the first Troy Stetton thing I got was like, he had like before Speed Mechanics, he released like metal lead guitar soloing something. And it was basically a bunch of solos, but I knew had exercises breaking down the solos. No, actually, Rock Discipline. I was studying at GIT when that came out, and I was like such a big Petrucci nerd back then. But I didn't find that. It's a good video, but yeah, I, I think also it made people misunderstand the metronome thing a little bit, because the way that he demonstrates that in the video is like, yeah, and you sit there and you do that. You start at 100 BPMs and then you just jack it up, and then we're at 200 now. But it's like, obviously, when he on the way to the studio, he could play that at 200 already, because he's practiced his ass off to get his technique up to that level. But I think a lot of people got confused and thought it would be like, because I was also like, oh, that looks amazing, I can do that, and then like, no, that didn't work at all. So I think it's a bit of a weird one. Have you given any guitar exam like Trinity grade 8 or Rock School grade 8? I have no idea what that is. So that would be a no. Yeah, I was so disappointed when I saw the Yngwie one. I was like, what the yeah. Like, what? It was very strange. So, yeah, not great. Also, the way that was produced, I heard a lot of backstage things about that, so to speak, because Steve Trovato was a teacher at MI, and he's an amazing player. And then Keith Wyatt, of course, and Don Mark. This was like all MI people. And apparently they picked, Yngwie didn't want to do it. And at this time, I think he was, on the sauce quite a bit. He did not want to do it. And this allegedly, because I wasn't there, so who knows? But that's what I've heard, that he didn't want. They were. You can imagine how much these companies must have been after him, like, do a video, right? But he didn't want to do it, and then finally agreed. And then they picked him up at the airport in like Steve Travato's. I think he had like a Mazda or something. And Yngwie's big dude, so he had like cram him in the back seat, and he was like, "What the fuck is a limo?" So he was pissed off already. And then he hadn't prepared anything. So what they did was like they saw a set list in his guitar case, and they were like, "Oh, Yngwie, I really liked what you did in Rising Force. Can you show that?" And like, "Oh, this." Oh. Then it would do that. I'm like, "Oh, what about that Trilogy Suite? That was also really cool." So yeah, that's what I've heard. But equally, I also know that he did play some blues stuff and stuff. I don't know if it was at least a drum machine there. And then he had the bass player, who's an amazing bass player, by the way, Svante Henriksson. He's a really, really good player. And also they got into a fist fight, him and the bass player in the studio. So again, all allegedly. So But the video wasn't good at all, so there's that. But to be fair to Yngwie, he did like that Play Loud series in Japan, like late 90s, mid 90s something, and that was way better. That was way more prepared. I mean, because it was, you know, Japanese production, so I think that was way better. I actually saw, I got a clinic from a guy here who was really, really helpful in a way. That he gave me like a clinic of Vinnie Moore from GIT in '87, and they asked him like, "What do you think about Yngwie?" And he's like, "Well, you know, if he because apparently there was some magazine out where someone had said like, oh, McAlpine and Vinnie Moore, they all sound, you know, they try to sound like me or whatever." But he was like, well, he didn't actually he didn't mention me. Vinnie Moore said, like that was the interviewer who brought up my name. So, and I'm not gonna comment on it. But he said that him and Mitch Perry teased Tony McAlpine like, well, hey Tony, why don't you add Tony J McAlpine to your name now? And Tony was like, look at this, and he showed them his driver's license, and his middle name is Jeff. So yeah, so they started basically calling him Tony J McAlpine. Oh, thanks, man. You have summer now, right? Bastards. This sing... Oh, you mean the... Yeah. Yeah, it started snowing here yesterday. It looks nice, but it's like, oh, here we go. That's Sweden for you. Yeah, that's the only thing I find must be a bit weird living in like your climate, where like you don't really have seasons in the same way. Because here in Sweden, you really do get a very clear like, now it's summer, but if the summer is shit, you're like, oh crap. But then you have proper autumn, and then you have winter, of course, hard to miss, and then spring. So. Well, thanks, James. Really appreciate that. And again, it's surreal because I've seen, you know, I've heard you playing, and I've had some records, I believe, where you played on as well. And it's like, it's very strange, but you're such a cool guy. So thank you, appreciate it. Are you part of the practice room, by the way? In Intra VRT, which I'm guessing that's not your name unless your parents have a great sense of humor. Because I can't not plug the practice room, obviously. And this is free community, so you should join. Anyone who's listening. I have to okay you though. You need to answer 2 very, very difficult questions. Really nice of you, Daniel. Actually, I might plug that too, since you brought it up, Daniel, because we're closing in on 50 members, and at 50 the price will go up. So if anyone has been sitting on the fence, you might want to check that out now. All right, I'm gonna leave it 1 more minute, and then I'm gonna go. So if anyone has any more questions, now would be a great time. right, I'm done for today. If you have any questions, just join the prank